I would like to introduce Dr. Joseph A. Favazza, the 11th president of St. Anselm College. Dr. Favazza began his tenure as president nearly 10 months ago, and in that time, he has listened and learned about our community, embraced our Benedictine spirit, and encouraged our students to reach their fullest potential. We are truly blessed to have such a dedicated and insightful leader. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Favazza.
Welcome and good afternoon. Patrice reminds me that this is my first year as the president, and what a year it's been. Lots of challenges, but it has been incredibly humbling, and I've been so honored to serve in this role and to be part of the St. Anselm community. I'm really happy to have this virtual conversation with you today. We began the tradition a few months ago of trying to have conversations, regular conversations with different communities of St. Anselm, and we've transitioned now to these Zoom virtual town hall meetings. We have them weekly with the staff and faculty and the monastic community. Last week, I held town hall meetings with each of the 4 student classes and with their parents and friends, and we had an opportunity to have question and answer. So it's been very engaging, just a different format, but at least we were able to connect. You know, I find a lot of peace during these days from the Anselmian community. We remain strong, even though we are dispersed, and we will continue to be strong. And particularly, I have enjoyed participating virtually in the masses from the Abbey Church. And especially during Holy Week here, I encourage you to tune in and to be part of the live streaming that comes from the monastic community. I'm also very aware and keep in my prayers, and my wife and I, Patty, we keep in daily prayer the health of our healthcare workers and first responders who are really on the forefront of this global pandemic. So many of them are our alums, and we salute them, we hold them as heroes, and we keep them in our prayers as they fulfill their mission to keep us all healthy and safe, even at the risk of themselves. And so we salute them at this moment. I just wanted to give you a few updates about what has been going on the campus. As many of you know, I think you know at this point that we made the decision to ask students to depart from campus on March the 15th. And then we transitioned to a remote learning environment. And while we never imagined just a month ago or so that we would be at this point, our students and our faculty have responded with great determination and grace. And we're so appreciative of the way in which they have worked to make this transition go relatively smoothly. There's no modern day precedent for what we're facing. And so we've been guided by some core principles. First, we want to keep the community safe. We want to do what's right by our students, their parents and families, our faculty, staff, and monastic community. And we want to maintain the perpetuity of St. Anselm College. Those have been our guiding principles. And you know, as alumni, you know that our faculty work very hard. They are very student focused, and they want the success of our students, whether in person or in this remote learning moment. So a special thanks to them, and a special thanks to our IT staff who have really gone above and beyond to make this transition so seamless for our students. So as we continue this new normal for our students, we did institute a new policy about pass, no pass for our students. So we understand that this is quite a challenge for our students. They're taking 3 or 4 online or remote learning classes. And so they have the option of taking their classes pass or no pass, which takes a little pressure off of them and also helps them to interface with their faculty. And it's funny, when we announced this to some of our longtime alums, some of them wondered if it could be retroactive to when they were here at St. Anselm. And but we're we're doing all that we can to support our students. I want to also update you about some of the financial decisions that we have been making over the last couple of weeks. Last week, we announced that we would be refunding and crediting a portion of the room and meal plan to our students for the spring semester. 25% of housing would be returned according to our policy that was in the student handbook. And then 100% of any dining balance that was left was also credited or refunded. So in addition to that, with the housing, we had to hold a $250 charge just to cover some of our fixed costs related to housing. You know, it's amazing that even though we don't have students in them, we have to maintain housing, including our cleaning cost and some of the obligations we have to the state of New Hampshire. And so we did that, but we've been upfront, we've been transparent about this, and so far the response by parents has been relatively and actually pretty positive to this decision. We also announced that we will continue to pay all of our employees through the remainder of this year, whether they work on an academic schedule or a full-time schedule, regardless whether or not they're able to actually be on campus to do their work at this time. And so with the stay-at-home order in the state of New Hampshire, at least until May 4th, people are not able to come to campus, but they are part of our St. Anselm family. And so there's been a lot of concern expressed by faculty, by staff, and even by students. We had a student, first-year student on my town hall with them who was very concerned about our dining staff and our custodial staff. And so we looked at a lot of scenarios, and knowing that all of these decisions directly impact our employees, that's why we decided that the best course of action would be to maintain their compensation and benefits through the remainder of the work year. While no one could predict that this pandemic would force the closure of the entire college, we wanted to be fair and equitable to our students and families while balancing the necessity of covering the cost of the college. And of course, we wanted to be fair and equitable to our own employees. And so it is a challenge, I'll be honest. There's a lot of financial challenges right now, and we have more challenges ahead of us in 2021 as we face kind of an uncertain future related to the pandemic. But we are making the road by walking it, and we will continue to be driven by our desire to care for our community and to protect the future of the college. Just an update about commencement. Last week we announced that we were postponing commencement, and I was being very clear that it's a postponement, not a cancellation. We will find a way to celebrate the accomplishments of the class of 2020. And so I've asked a committee with representatives from the senior class, the administration, faculty, to meet and to make some recommendations to me about the best time and the best way to hold commencement. All alumni events scheduled for April and May have been canceled or postponed, which is one of the reasons we're having this virtual call today. We're in conversations with our reunion volunteers and college advancement committee of the Board of Trustees regarding reunion weekend. I know we're getting a lot of questions about that, which is presently scheduled for June 5th through 7th. We continue to monitor this, and we will make a decision about reunion no later than April 15th, so stay tuned. We've really tried and have made a genuine commitment to create virtual communities during these times. And so while the Hilltop may be quiet, our virtual community is flourishing, and we invite you to join in with many of the virtual events that are going on as a way to stay engaged with the college. The first edition of what we're calling the Anselmian Connection, a weekly schedule of virtual offerings, was sent out on Sunday. Examples of our programming for the coming weeks, obviously the daily mass from the Abbey Church with our monastic community, What Patrice has already mentioned to you, a webinar with Tom E. Curran, class of 1989, on who works as for NBC Sports in Boston. He's doing a presentation on Tom Brady's A Buccaneer, How Did We Get There? Should be quite interesting. A online class with Professor Gary Bouchard about Robert Frost, his world and his works. And even though he has a reputation for being the tough grader, online classes are pass, no pass. Just kidding. Just take them and enjoy them. We have a lecture by Professor Paul Finn from our psych department titled The Human Dimension of Coaching Adolescents and Psychology, Isolation, and Pandemics, Trauma, and Resilience. Really fascinating topics at this moment. The 32nd annual Shakespeare Sonnet Reading Marathon has gone virtual, and look for that. It's coming up later in April. Professor Bouchard has already grabbed me and put me on the schedule, so I encourage you to participate as well and to be part of this long-standing Anselmian tradition. And I invite you to visit alumni.anselm.edu for event details and share your thoughts on other virtual programming ideas. Our Office of Alumni Relations appreciates your involvement and looks forward to your input as a way to keep all of us connected as a community. In addition, you might have heard about a program that we launched called Anselmians Helping Anselmians, the Anselmian Business Connection. So what we have created is a business sharing network so that includes information about alumni-owned businesses and provides ways to help others in our communities. And so just an example, we were inspired to do this by a class of 1985 graduate, Jim Van Hoof, who's also a member of our board of trustees, his company, Ionic Materials, is supporting class of 1986 graduate Paul Guancey's business, Super Sub Shop in Beverly, by ordering lunch for his employees once a week. So in addition, we are posting requests from Anselmians for assistance or just to keep us updated. So last week we shared a request from Peggy Ridge Buckley, a nursing alumna from the class of 1981, who's the assistant director of nursing at the Maine Veterans Home, where she is in a critical shortage of isolation gowns. And so a number of alums stepped up right away and provided some help to Peggy. The college right now is working with Catholic Medical Center in Manchester to donate. We've donated a number of masks and other protective equipment from our health services department, from our training room, from our chemistry and biology departments. We're also providing some assistance with our dorms for CMC for healthcare workers who are asymptomatic but who cannot be home right now because of exposure to other in their family. And so we're helping in whatever way that we can our local community. We're also working with other local organizations such as Families in Transition. They needed a temporary office space but did not have any furniture, so we provided tables and chairs so that they can continue their important mission. Sergio Bonavita and Craig Walton of the class of 2003 combined forces to produce and distribute hand sanitizers, for example, to help frontline workers stay safe as they aid people during the outbreak of the coronavirus. And then our social media, we shared a very powerful story about Stephanie Inalfo, a 2010 alumna who is currently working as a nurse in a COVID-19 ward. Stephanie continues to show up for work, even when she's not on the schedule, because she knows there's work to be done and she knows she can make a difference. And so Stephanie says she keeps assuring her patients that they are not alone. And these stories really have moved me, and they confirm to me once more that as Anselmians, we truly are not alone. We are a community, and we will stay and remain a community even in this moment. I also want to let you know that our Career Development Center is hard at work to reach out to students. You know, a lot of our alums have contacted us and said they're concerned for our graduates, especially the class of 2020 in this moment in terms of jobs. and concerned about internship opportunities for our other classes, especially in this moment. So our Career Development Center has reaching out to students, continuing to meet with students, doing mock interviews online. They are doing one-on-one career advising appointments. They're doing home webinars. But I will say that if you're an alum and you can, if you're able to help our students by seeking internships or job opportunities, our Career Development Center would love to hear from you. So please be in touch as we're trying to provide as many resources as we can for our students. Just an update on admissions. Again, another area that we're very concerned about, but I will tell you that without campus tours and open houses, our Office of Admissions has been very creative in their efforts to recruit the classes of 2024 and 2025. A new virtual campus tour was launched, and we're seeing very positive results. In fact, in the first few days, we had about 20,000 hits on it. So it's clearly a popular spot. Applications right now are up about 5% over 2019, and deposits are up about 20% over the same time. So we're making progress, but obviously if you have neighbors or family or friends with children in high school, I encourage you to encourage them to consider St. Anselm College. You know, just sharing your fond memories and your transformative experiences here can be really important as we continue to recruit and admit students for the classes ahead. I also just want to alert you, and again, you might have heard about this, that we have postponed our 6th annual Days of Giving, probably until May or June. Many of our alumni, parents, and friends had expressed some concern for students who have been displaced and are facing hardship. And so for this reason, we have established now the Anselmi Student Relief Fund to assist students who are encountering financial hardships that might prevent them from continuing their education at St. Anselm. Since launching the fund just really last week, we've received a generous response from the community. A few families have even opted to donate their room and board credit to the relief fund. So I was very impressed with the generosity of our alums once they heard about this fund. So far, we've raised about $30,000, and we'll be able to support students with assistance during the housing crisis, any food needs they might have, helping them access to technology for remote learning. We're supporting international students who've been unable to return home, and we're assisting with medical care, with prescriptions, and mental health services as well. So just some examples of some of the things that we will support through this Anselmian Student Relief Fund. So providing financial assistance to our students in need have never been more critical, as you can imagine. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, if you have contributed to the fund, thank you very much. And I invite you to continue to think about our students during this time. And so finally, after all of these updates and craziness that we're living through right now, I just want to say to all of our alums, may the blessings of Holy Week bring forth the joy of resurrected life for you and for your loved ones. Patty and I wish you all peace and health during this Easter season. That's really what we hope for. So at this point, as Patrice mentioned, we're just going to spend some time taking some questions and responding to them, and then see where we end up. So here's a question here. As an alum and current teacher and coach at St. Anselm College, I want to thank you for your efforts in these very challenging times. I think you're doing a great job keeping all the aspects of the college informed. Thank you. Well, thank you. That was nice. I didn't. We're doing our best. Like I said, we're making the road by walking. These are unprecedented times, and so we've made a commitment to be as transparent as we can be, and to keep the community informed as best we can. Okay. How are our student athletes holding up, particularly our spring athletes? You know, it's very challenging. As you know, the NCAA canceled all spring sports for this year. And so the members of those squads is a very big blow for them. You know, they love playing their sport. They love being here at St. Anselm. They have a lot of school spirit. And so our athletic director, Darren Montgomery, and all the coaches have been incredible keeping in touch with these students and trying to support them virtually. We are obviously going to do all that we can to make sure that we relaunch all of our athletic programs in the fall, but it's a bit challenging. So but we know we'll get on the other side of this, and we know that our sports teams will get back to their winning ways come fall. Has the Board of Trustees resolved its differences with the monastery regarding the accreditation issue? So that's a great question. As you know, there was a lawsuit filed by Abbot Mark back in November. The issue is still being in the courts. There has been some progress, I can say that, on the issue of working through some of the challenges related to the bylaws. And we have, and our accreditation is, we are accredited, and that we'll have a visit this summer with the accreditation team that will look at the progress we've made and hopefully see that we have made great progress. So I think we're getting there. It's forced us all to kind of look at all of our governance structures, and I think that's a good thing. And certainly, it is my hope that the board and the Abbot will come together and we'll solve this once and for all. So we'll get there. But of course, a lot has been put on hold during this past month as we've had this particular issue to deal with. But this is going to get back on track, I can assure you. What's your favorite NFL team? How do you feel about the Tom Brady situation? Well, I can tell you, I am a huge Patriots fan, and you may wonder why, because I didn't grow up here. But I told someone, I said, I love the Red Sox, I love the Patriots. I said it must be in the water or something. I don't know, but and I'm a big Tom Brady fan. Though I will say, my sense is that probably I've wondered, especially after last season, is this a moment? Are we at a transition time? And so, you know, sometimes loss can be a moment of gain, and certainly, even as we think about our present situation of staying at home and social distancing, even though it's very difficult, we can learn a lot from this, and a lot of internal wisdom that maybe we have forgotten can really we can be reminded of. And so, while I'm not equating the Tom Brady situation to what we have now, but I will tell you that, you know, sometimes loss is not always a totally bad thing, and so it might be a good jump start for the team, a kind of a relaunch, and I'm hopeful they'll have success this coming year. Thank you for rescheduling graduation, not canceling. Please include honors convocation and baccalaureate in the plan. Yes, like I said, everything is being considered by the committee, and I'll be receiving some recommendations hopefully in the next few weeks. How is the college preparing for the likely increased financial aid needs of students next fall? Well, you know, it's a great question. We are working very hard on the 2021 budget right now. It will be challenging. We know that there will be increased financial aid to needs of students. Obviously, the federal government will be providing perhaps some additional support there as well that we will be accessing, but it is something that we're very aware of, and why it's so critical that we continue to raise money for our scholarships so that we make a St. Anselm education as accessible as possible to every student who wants to be here. Will dining services share any recipes for us to cook their great food at home? Well, I'll pass that on to Rosemary Stackhouse, our dining services director, and see if that could be part of the virtual community that we create. In fact, I could imagine perhaps a cooking demonstration there as well. So, not a bad idea. How are the nursing majors meeting their clinical requirements? Has the New Hampshire State Board been flexible to accept their alternative plans? Our nursing faculty are working very closely with the New Hampshire State Board and actually have been very creative with our nursing students, particularly our sophomores and junior students, to meet their clinical requirements virtually, actually. So everyone is working together. Let me just say that so between the nursing board, our students, and our faculty, everyone is communicating. And for a while, we thought that we would have to bring our juniors back early to get some clinical experience, but right now it's looking like that will not be the case. So they are working hard, and of course, once they return to campus, they will make sure that they're ready to take their licensure test and to get certified, so that we continue the great nursing tradition that we have. How does the stimulus package, the CARES Act, help St. Anselm? So, as you know, part of the stimulus included about a $14 billion support for higher education as part of the Educational Stability Program. Of that $14 billion, there's a formula for each college to access some of this funding. Right now, the formula for St. Anselm is showing that we would get about $1.2 million from that. 50% of that would go to support student financial aid, particularly our students who are most in need. And then 50% can be used by the college to offset any costs related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we'll get some support. It certainly will not cover all of the costs that we are incurring related to this, but it's some support. And we have heard as well that the Congress is already working on a next stimulus that perhaps will even help us a bit more. Great job at a time of great challenge. Thank you. We know you're making a lot of difficult decisions. Sounds like you're doing all the right things. We also know this takes skillful coordination with many parties, including board, faculty, staff, Benedictine students, alums, etc. It's a tough first year for you, but we're lucky to have you. Your continued communication is much appreciated. Keep up the great work. We will get through this and come out on the other side. Well, thank you very much. And that came from a very distinguished alum, and thank you. And we, it has been a very interesting first year. One of the monks sent me a note a few days ago and said, gee, who's going to play you in the movie next about your first year? And oh man, the mind reels, but it's been a challenge, but I can tell you right now that I'm so fortunate to work with a great team, and we work well together, and everyone is very committed to the future of St. Anselm College. As a parent of a freshman student, I have no specific questions, but did want to say thank you and to all the team and the staff and the teachers who are working hard and effectively communicating. My child is missing the hilltop terribly. Well, I can tell you, we are missing students terribly. I mean, this is not our normal, and we thrive when our students thrive. And so it has been a challenge in that way, not only for our faculty, but also all of us who support students in different ways. And so I can only imagine how difficult it is for students. And we've heard that certainly, that while they've transitioned to the remote learning, they just miss the campus and miss their friends and miss all of the experiences here at St. A's. And so, we can't wait to have them back, that's for sure. As the construction on the new Welcome Center continued, yes, our construction company is ensuring that the workers are safe. They're keeping appropriate social distancing, but they are continuing to come in and they are making progress on the Welcome Center. We're still still scheduled to open, at least with a soft opening, into July, early August. And that's, as far as I know, that's still on track. Will the rescheduled days of giving in May or June be a way to help with the financial aid situation? Would you say that this is your greatest need at the current time? Yeah, so the days of giving, there'll be some options for folks to designate their gift, but certainly student scholarships and financial aid will be prominent among them. And certainly that is one of our greatest needs as we look ahead and we see that so many students are going to be impacted because of their family situation and the economy. So it is something that will be very important to support going forward. If a student chooses pass or no pass option, how will that affect merit scholarship? Well, that is one thing I've told students, and faculty are telling students the pass, no pass option does not affect their GPA. So if they're already have a good GPA, then it won't impact it negatively. But if they're trying to get their GPA up because of to maintain a scholarship or maintain athletic eligibility or just to get off of academic probation, then they will need to take a letter grade as opposed to a pass, no pass grade. So, again, I've asked students to really be in touch with their faculty, and that's the most important thing that they need to be. I've just got a note here saying the admission team mailed the St. Anselm cookie recipe from Davidson Hall to our admitted students and their family probably about a week ago. It was a huge mailing. So anyone who wants that cookie recipe and didn't get it, be in touch. We'll send it to you. What do you miss most about being on campus? Well, again, absolutely the students. I tell people all the time, even though it's been a challenging year and I could be having a pretty tough day, it is true. If I just take a walk around campus, maybe go get a coffee down in the Gallo Cafe, talk to students, kind of see what they're working on, I feel a lot better going back to my office. So I do miss students and just miss being on the campus with all that's going on. How likely is it that the college will have to shut permanently or semi-permanently due to the financial stresses due to the likely protracted nature of this pandemic? Well, if we're unable to open in the fall, which, we don't know, to be honest, or maybe not open, or may have to open remotely maybe for a little while before we transition to on-campus events, we can do that. We're planning a number of contingencies at this point. We are committed, again, and the budget will reflect this for for 2021, that we will make sure that we are on firm financial footing. I don't foresee us closing permanently. I don't foresee us having to go into deep distress, but the longer that this carries on, the more challenging it will be. And certainly it will seriously impact a number of colleges, not just us, in terms of their financial model. What is our goal for the number of incoming first-year students for the fall and the total enrollment of the school? So our goal for first years is somewhere around 560 to 570. And our overall goal for the school, we'd love to be, we want to be over 2,000. So right now we're right at 2,000 and we want to maintain that, maybe grow a little bit, but we are about to embark on a strategic planning process, and that won't stop even though we're in this moment, because I feel like it's important not just to have your thought, you're not just managing a crisis, but also thinking about what are the opportunities beyond the crisis that we can really distinguish ourselves. And so as we think about our strategic priorities, we'll have to give some consideration to what is the optimal size for St. Anselm and what does that mean in terms of all of our infrastructure. But right now, 560, 570, 2,000 is where we're at. As a current parent of a first-year student, please pass along my appreciation to my daughter's professors. My wife and I are so appreciative that you and the faculty, all that you, the faculty, have done for her. In addition, please thank Abbott Mark and the monastic community for their live streaming masses. We are truly blessed to be part of the St. A's community. Yes, we are truly blessed. And I spoke to Abbott Mark earlier this week, and it's very, you know, he expressed, and I've talked to other monks as well, it's very odd for them. They're the only people really on campus now, except for our safety and security staff. But, you know, they realize that part of their mission of prayer is to continue that, even especially in this moment. Good afternoon, Dr. Favazza. You may have answered this question. Are the members of the monastic community, particularly the older ones, doing okay? Actually they are. 2 members have been in the hospital, Father Peter, but he is returning home today after almost a month in the hospital. He's been having, he had some, he was diagnosed with, I can't come up with it, but some breathing issues, but he's doing a lot better, and pneumonia, that's what it was. And he's doing a lot better. He's coming home today. Bishop Joseph is still in the hospital or in a rehab. He's having some issues, but he's doing quite well as well. I talked to the abbot about Bishop Joseph, and he's definitely recuperating from a fall, and hopefully will be able to come home soon. What kind of feedback are you getting from faculty and students about the virtual learning models? So we just did a survey with our students. We got about 300 or 400 responses so far. It's interesting. We asked a question about this specifically. I would say that students, overall, the average is it's about a B, which is pretty good, right? We've worked very hard to make sure that if they have any accessibility issues, technology issues, we respond right away. You know, I think the hardest thing for our students is just being away from campus and missing home. And probably, and if you're parents, you might connect to this. Just living back with your parents sometimes can be quite challenging, both from the student point of view and also from the parent point of view. So it's, but so far so good. I mean, everything I'm hearing is overall, it has been a relatively smooth transition, even though it's been a big transition, both for students and for faculty. Final question here, how are you and your family doing? Please know that our entire college community is praying for you all. We're all doing fine. My wife, I'm here in my wife Patty's office. She gave me her office during this time very generously. I have 2 of my 4 children living with us right now. They're doing fine, a little bored out of their mind, but doing well. And we're certainly also keeping the St. A's community and all of our family and friends in our prayers and in our thoughts. And we want just everyone to continue to be safe and healthy during this time. And I'll just say that obviously I look forward to being with all of you in person. I look forward to the moment that we can actually meet and get to know some of you. I've enjoyed meeting our alums through so many gatherings during Christmas and other times, but I look forward to meeting you in the future. Thank you so much for being part of this. And again, you continue to pray for us and support us, and God bless St. Anselm College. Good afternoon.